I am going live today on both Instagram and also on my YouTube channel. So whether you're finding me at one of those locations is wonderful. And today is kind of a unique situation we have going on. In the US, it is post election, and there's a lot of mixed emotions. And so normally I am doing a coloring and coaching session on Wednesdays at noon where we are coloring on various topics and going through the download. It's a free download, the self-reflection coloring book and journal. And today, actually, we were supposed to do the page on depth, which I will show you here. So this is the page we were supposed to do. And this morning, I just felt like, nope, I don't think that's what people need right now. So we're kind of shifting gears. We're going with the flow today. And I put a poll out to people like, what are you in most need of currently in this environment and this energy that's going on right now? And the majority of you have said that you would like guidance on how to see the positive and the good and how to get through this, like guidance on how to be okay with everything that's going on. And I realize that that kind of is leaning a little bit more towards the people who aren't happy with the results. You know, I would imagine the people who are happy with the results are celebrating and not in need of any sort of moral support. But and who knows? I don't know. Maybe you're also dealing with something else going on right now. But what I wanted to focus on today is to like create a safe space for whatever is happening in your system to exist and be acknowledged, and to honor that voice, and to also be able to create a space inside yourself that feels empowering to you, that feels like you have some sort of control or have some influence on how you're feeling currently, and to shift that energy so that you do feel, you know, at least a little bit more empowered in your body and in your mind, and to see the good maybe in in your own situation. And so with that said, you know, I am live here on Instagram and on YouTube, and we're going to kind of go with the flow. I'm going to give probably more like talking today, discussions. If you want to join in on that, you can pop something into the comments section, and I will address those things as they're coming up. I will say that there are some rules for engagement here today. So that would be always having respectful comments, respectful chatter, and that I am more than happy to either delete comments or kick somebody out if they're not being respectful. And I also, that doesn't mean you can't have an opposing comment. Like, I think that there's ways to have discussions where we are all in the conversation and we are respecting each other, and maybe even digging deep into like what's underneath that. So, you know, feel free to pop in the comments and say like what is on your heart, what's going on for you, what are you feeling, you know, and even if you want to contribute anything that you're finding as helpful, I would love for that to happen in the comments section. And you know, if you want to go download this book currently, like right now, and print it off. So the thing that we do here at Artist Alchemy is that we use art as a way to alchemize transform, empower ourselves. And so that could be through coloring, that could be through painting. We also do neurographic art, which is actually like a very specific methodology. I'll show you some of mine, where you're using an algorithm to find what blocks you may have, find the things that are in your subconscious, and not only discover them, but also to harmonize them. And so you can see in the drawings, there's all these neurographic lines and circles to harmonize. And so I'm just going to kind of like show a few of the examples here. But these are ways in which we use art as like a powerful tool. And so I have in the coloring book, the very end, there is a blank page. And this blank page doesn't have a topic. And so normally we have a topic on the other pages. But this blank page is there because of situations like today, where there's, something going on where the topics in the book may not apply. And so what I want to provide for you in this session is a space for you to work through that topic, work through whatever's coming up for you. And so I may actually color this page while we're talking and, coaching and like working through this stuff. And I just welcome you to join along. So if you want to download that, for the people on YouTube, I'm just going to show the slide of where they can find it. And then I will tell you guys here on Instagram, you can find it at myartalchemy.com/gift. So go there, download your free coloring book. It's got all the pages in it. You can scroll to the end where the page with the blank topic is, and you can print that out and then grab colored pencils, crayons, markers, whatever you want to color with. You could sit on this live session and just color along and be here for the journey. Or you can sit back and watch and relax. You can join in the conversation. However is the most supportive to you is what I'm looking for. So again, today we're kind of talking mostly about how to work through the current environment, how we're feeling, what might be coming up for us, whether it's in our system, in our minds, like the fears we might be having, the excitement we might be having, the curiosity, the unknown, the anger, like all of it is welcome. All of it is welcome. And again, I just will say that, you can add your comments. You can say what's going on for you. Just please be respectful in the comments. I will delete any that are not helpful or that are, violent in nature. And so let's be respectful going on. But I do want to hear what is happening for you. Like, what is most present for you in this moment? And this morning for me, here in LA, we're having like a really crazy windstorm. Everything is blowing around, like things are knocking down, and I've had to secure things in my property. It feels very fitting for the energetic environment that is happening. I was sort of joking earlier. I was like, oh, this is the winds of change. And then I also was like, it's kind of chaotic and all of that. So physically in my environment represents a lot of what I was feeling this morning. And so I took time to ground in to my heart, my energy. And for me, what's helpful is the thought and the knowledge that I am surrounded with, source angels or energy, or that I'm always on the right path and that everything is working out for my good. Whether that helps you, aligns with the way that you think, take it or leave it. But these are things that really help me to feel a little bit more like okay with the situation that's going on. And so I understand that for some people, the thought of certain things directly impacting you, especially as it relates to the election results, that can be scary and nerve-wracking. And essentially, we are projecting our worst fears into the possibility of what could happen. Now, when you think about your energy creating your reality, the energy that you're creating in your system is literally magnetizing in that which matches it. So I don't say that to scare you. I say it to empower you in a way of like, you do have some control on how you're feeling in this current environment and what you end up creating. I believe there are multiple ways that people can experience this new environment moving forward. And when somebody is living in a state of fear about this, fear about that, you're looking for those things. And I don't know about you, but when I'm looking for something and something's on my mind, I see it everywhere. Like, your vision is looking for that in general, but then you're also kind of drawing that in. So when we're in these moments of like heightened energy, heightened emotions, it's very important to stay conscious and intentional with what you want to create. And so, yes, I'm definitely acknowledging that there are very valid fears and concerns for a lot of people. And when we can focus on our energy, focus on, like, we'll put like a bubble of golden light protection energy around myself, maybe like right now around my home, because this wind is nuts. Around the people that I love, around the collective. Like, you do have so much power. You can collectively project out this bubble of a beautiful, safe energy. And when we shift our attention to a loving thought of, I am always supported, I will be here, I am on the right timeline, I am on the right trajectory, all of this is happening for me. Just even that thought alone does open your mind to a new viewpoint. So when we're always thinking like one way, that's all we're going to know. When we start to get curious, and actually last week was our coloring session on curiosity, which was really good. Like, when you open your mind to be curious about anything. So let's go down this path of like, how could this be for my highest good? Like, how will this help me in this space? Then you might give a self-reflection space for, first of all, what's coming up. Like, to me, accessing what you're most afraid of is the point where you can flip it. So, I might say that I feel scared about women's rights. I am a woman. Some of it doesn't apply directly to me currently, and it may apply to other women directly currently. So that could be really scary for that person. When I think about the safety, like women's rights, I might get curious about well, how could this actually help in this situation? And when I look at it, I think, I am very passionate. I'm a very passionate person about especially women's rights. And so I can use that. Like, this opportunity is helping to bring light to a lot of things. And so with a lot of women coming together in solidarity around this, we actually can do more than if this were not to come up. So like, even that thought is shifting me a little bit out of the stuckness of what's wrong with the situation into the changing or the opportunity that is available that I can directly impact, whether it's, in my actions or in my energetic system. And so I'm just going to take a pause here, and I want you to check in with yourself. Like, what is it right now that you are feeling fear around? Or it's like, just what are you feeling? You could feel anxiety, you could feel apprehension, you could feel anger, you could feel whatever you're feeling. All of it is perfect. All of it is amazing. So feel free to pop it in the chat, the comments, whatever, wherever you are. I actually want to check on my YouTube as well. So yeah, pop it in the chat. So what I want today to be is a valuable session for you to feel acknowledged in what you are experiencing right now. All of it is okay. Everything you're experiencing is normal. Again, I'm probably speaking to the people who are feeling disappointment around the results of this election. And so you may have popped on and be like, okay, I live somewhere else. I'm not experiencing any of that. But whatever you're experiencing is perfect. And like, that is why you're here right now. And so when you can acknowledge, like, I'm feeling this way, and let it work itself through. Like, our emotions actually can pass if you feel them for, I believe it's 90 seconds is actually the amount of time that an emotion takes to fully be felt and sort of like let go of when you actually feel it. So in that case, if you are feeling an emotion, and feel free to write down your notes too, like get a piece of paper right now and like jot down what you're feeling and how that feels in your body. Because if you think about it, a lot of times our emotions are actually just dictated by our thoughts. And we may not even be feeling that feeling in our body. Like, anxiety, for me, is more often than not perpetuated by my thoughts. So I'll have a thought, feel anxiety. The anxiety is amplified by more of those thoughts. I continue to think more of the thoughts. I'm amplifying the anxiety. I'm going even further into the like vortex of fear and, anxiety around this topic. And then, man, like hours will pass in my day and I'll be like, wow, I was just like sitting in anxiety for 3 hours of my day, ruminating on this thing. And actually, that was not helpful at all. It only created more fear and anxiety in my system, which is not good for our system, right? Like, our systems, our body. I'm talking about, when I talk about system, I'm talking about like your energetic body and your physical body. When I'm feeling anxiety, my shoulders are going up. I'm tense. My muscles are tense. My lower back is tense. And And then the energy inside is also sort of sitting in those spaces and creating all kinds of yucky stuff. So, when we can acknowledge what's happening for us in the experience of that emotion, and maybe the thoughts that are related to it, I would jot down those thoughts as well. Like, lay it all out there on the paper. Write it all down. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling, whatever you're feeling, all the things. Write them down. What are the thoughts that you're having? I think people are stupid. I'm scared to interact with certain people. I am scared for the people I love in my life. I don't know how this is going to play out. Like, write all of those thoughts down onto the paper. Because this is where you can actually do something about it. If we're, like, when you're caught up in the thing, you're actually cycling with the emotion and the thoughts. You're like cycling with it, and you're being taken for the ride. I know that because I am often taken for the ride, especially with my fears and my anxiety. And so when you can pull yourself out, become the observer of what's happening, and you are then a step removed, right? You have a little bit more control because now you're writing the things down, you're seeing them, you're witnessing them, you're acknowledging them, you're writing them down. And it starts to dissipate, like it starts to separate. What's with all the eights? Anyways, you're disconnecting a little bit from being wrapped in the journey of the emotion, the journey of the thoughts, all of this stuff. And so from there, you have access to more things. You have access to the curiosity, like I said before. Like, first of all, what are you worried is going to happen? Let's start there. Because I think going down the path of the things that are holding your awareness, that are attached to that emotion that is like really present for you. You can do this on all of the emotions that are coming up. So let's say you have like 5. First, start with 1. Jot that one down. Do this whole process just on that one emotion. Go through everything. Like, totally exacerbate the process on it. And then move on to the next one. It's hard to truly move through something if you cut it off midway and then you move on to something else. So that's why I'm sort of encouraging you, really go down the path with one thing before you move on. And if there's a number of things, then cool, let's do all of them. So, and this, depending on what you like in your system, you may want to write. You may want it to do a journaling or writing experience of this. You may want to draw, color. So like, if that is more helpful for you to take this page and sit down, because a lot of times our brains are sort of like in the way. And what art is really good at is getting those brains to actually, the prefrontal cortex, which is like processing all of the information. It's, connecting you with the external, with your experience, with your self-conscious, with your criticisms. Sorry. Blah. And so when you allow yourself to get into flow and focus your attention on an activity like coloring, which is very easy to do. You don't have to be an artist. It's wonderful. It may allow you to even just temporarily let go of the things that are happening and get into just an experience of coloring, which is very peaceful, very enjoyable, very calming. And it also might allow, because it gives space again, it might allow for those aha moments, those breakthroughs, those insights that are coming in to be able to be acknowledged and experienced, because you have shut down certain parts of your brain and allowed them to come through. So if you want to sit and color, doodle, whatever you want to do, you have a piece of paper in front of you? Do you have a pen? Like, start drawing lines. Start like, do some straight lines, do some circles, start rounding at the places where they connect. And color, anything that you want. If you want to move your body, like dancing is really helpful too. Shake it out. Put on a song, maybe put on a song that represents the emotion you're feeling. And then, interpret dance the thing out. Like, shake it out, because that actually is really wonderful for moving the energy and actually like releasing the energy from your system. And maybe you want to do all of these things. Start with the journaling, move to the coloring, dance it out. And then, you could even come back and sort of set intentions. So let's move on to this, like, crafting something new, this intentional creating in our lives that feels more empowering than where we are currently. That space, I think, only can sort of be accessed once you do the first part, once you like release, experience the emotions and release that stuff. Otherwise, it's sort of like bypassing, let me just like make this good. Let me see the good in this. Like, you can't get there. It's not doing you any good if the stuff is still residing in your system. And so I would encourage you to go through the process of really feeling what you're feeling, seeing where this is coming from, what you're afraid of. And then we can start to shift things and turn things around in order to see how we might have power. When I come back to a space of love and compassion and also curiosity, especially curiosity, I am present to that I don't know all the facts. I don't know everything that is available, possible, going on. There's so much going on. Wow, my brain, like, in that split second just went totally on like this humongous rampage. And I was thinking about like how all of the election stuff is dumb anyways, because like they don't even have the power. Like, the money is where all the power is. Shout out to you, Evan. And so, anyways, my mind literally in that second just like went on this huge rampage. But that is curiosity. Like, what do we even know? Do we know everything? Do we know how things are going to unfold? We don't. So and here's more curiosity, questioning, will me holding on to fear, me holding on to righteousness, me holding on to anger, will that do anything good in this moment? A lot of times, no. I'm not going to say it's all the time no, because sometimes all of those things can actually fuel you to take action in a way that is really powerful and really helpful. So I'm not going to say that it's not, but a lot of times if you are not necessarily taking action or doing something to to like physically make a shift, then all you're doing is creating a negative environment in your body and in your energy, and then you are also actually creating that in your external circumstances, because there is law of attraction. So what we are creating in our system is actually bringing that to existence. So an exercise I like to do is to create a perfect future, create in my mind like a dream situation, a dream world, a dream future. When I create that in my mind and then in my system, so mentally I'm thinking about it. What would that future actually look like, and then what would it feel like to be in that existence? And then I start feeling that emotion in my body. Like, just pretend. Yes, it may not be the circumstance you're in right now. Although I would actually challenge you to look around in your direct environment, your direct circumstances, to actually see how you already are living in a beautiful existence, or an existence that you actually do love. Because again, those fears we're projecting from the future. They're only existing in our body and our energy. So they're not like that potential future is not maybe existing right now for you. And again, caveat, because I don't know your situation. I'm not going to say that it's not existing. And if it is existing, then what I would say is, do what you need to do to get yourself safe, or to get yourself whatever you need, ask for help, all of those things. But when we craft a future that we love in our minds, and again, if you're on the side of everything where, maybe this election results didn't go your way, it might be hard for you to, those like creeping in thoughts that will be like, yeah, but I don't know how that's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. You don't need to worry about how it's going to happen. All you need to do is create it in your mind, create it in your emotions, create it in your body, and sit in that space where the future exists and you're living in it. And imagine all the little details, even get very granular down to, okay, I wake up in the morning in this new existence and this is how I feel. I feel really blessed. I feel really excited. I'm feeling calm, peaceful, relaxed in my system. And then feel that way. Feel what calmness and peace and relaxation feels in your system. Like, just do that now. And when you do that, I want you to acknowledge that that is actually existing in your system currently. And you have the power to create that in this moment. So, yes, there are fears about things. But when you can access the desired emotion you want to feel and just feel it for that moment, and you may have to do it over and over and over again, because the thoughts might come back in, send you on a different trajectory, and then you might fall off and you might come back in, and then all of those things could be going back and forth, back and forth. And your power lies in your ability to remember that you can create the environment in your system that you want pretty quickly. pretty quickly. And sometimes when it's not easy, I want you to know what those tools are that help you to get there. Is it dancing? Shaking it out? Let me just move this energy, you know? I have a trampoline in my garage, and like jumping on the trampoline is so good. It feels so good, and I like jump things out of my system. So, if there's a lot of chaos in my body, I might go jump on the trampoline for a little bit. And obviously for me, art is one of those things that really helps me like calm my brain down, especially because my brain is super like busy thinking of all the things and sending me on that downward spiral I was talking about earlier. And so if I remember and I go, okay, stop, go paint, go color, go, craft something. And I allow myself that space to do that, then it will help me to at least like stop all the mental chatter, and I can then access a different state of being. So if you're feeling some sort of emotion that has you captured in it, what are the tools that you use? Feel free to pop them in the comments too. Like I would love to hear for people like what they use. Maybe it's taking a hike or going out in nature, or animals, like being around your animals. Not for me, because my animal, at least my dog, she can bring me anxiety. We're not going to talk about her because now that I talked about her, she's coming over here to see me. Anyways, or art or dancing or all the things. I would encourage you to write those down and have them ready for these moments when this comes up. And is this valuable to you? Because this feels like super valuable. I'm like talking to myself too, these tips are helpful for me to remember as well. I also like to put on some calming music, light some incense, maybe sit down with a journal and get centered. Oh, see, she's talking now. Get centered. And that helps me too, to kind of come back to that space where I can create a little bit more intentionally what I desire to feel and what I desire to create in my life. So, feel free to tell me if there's stuff that's still happening for you. I'm going to kind of like review for a minute of what we went over today. And I had my art camera set up to do this page, but I didn't really need it. Actually, I feel like this was more valuable today than anything else. So just to kind of wrap up what we did today, is that, instead of doing our coloring and coaching, we came on because the energy that is existing today, especially in the US, is all over the place, like chaotic. It can be fear-based. It can be really exciting for some people. But there's a lot that is present for a lot of people. And I want to be helpful in this time and space. And so, I wanted to devote this session to what you guys were looking for. And what I had heard was how to kind of shift and be okay in this moment, and with everything that's going on. And so we used some tools to go into it. So the first thing, acknowledge what you're feeling, really feel it. And where is it existing in your body? What are those emotions that you're feeling? And jot them down. You may have multiple that you're feeling right now. Jot those things down, all of them, so that you can work through them one at a time as well. And take each one and really feel it. What is it in my body? What are the sensations I'm feeling in my body? Where does it exist? Where in my body am I feeling the things, and what is that's going on? What are the thoughts that I'm having? And jot those down. and it may be projections into the future about what you're fearing could potentially happen. So jot all of those things down. I want you to capture them, because a lot of times when we only think of these things, they continue to exist in your mind so that you don't forget them. Jot them down. I promise you it's going to feel so good, because when you get them from your brain onto a piece of paper, your brain says, okay, I don't have to think about that anymore. I can release it. So it's one of the ways that you can actually release these like spiraling thoughts that happen in our minds. So get them down on paper. What are you most afraid of? And then you can start to think about how might this situation be helpful for me? Like, what is here for me? What is the gift that I might be able to grow from, heal through, bring love and compassion into, or curiosity into? So like, what is possible in this space that is a little bit more on the flip side, like the positive side of looking at this thing? I want you to explore all those things. Also, quick side note, if you're doing all of this stuff, share it with me, please. I would love to know like what your experience has been, how you're moving through this stuff. You could even send me a photo of like your crazy thoughts. And so then, when you're shifting to what's possible here for me, what's potentially like good from this situation, it could be action oriented, of what you now feel really like passionate about doing. And it also could be like an emotional trauma or wound that you're actually working through in your system and bringing compassion and healing to. And then the envisioning of the future and the crafting it, the creating it, the feeling of that future. So that's the part that is really, really super valuable for you. Don't skip this part, because then you're just sort of like stuck in the thing, in the energy of that thing. Really craft, okay, what is the future that I want to experience and feel? And whether it's, you have to like let go that it's either not gonna be a possibility or that it's not true currently, like let go of all of those things, because this is about imagination. You're imagining that future that is possible for you. And so get detailed with it. How does it look? How does it feel? What are things that are happening? Like down to the minute things of like how you're operating in your home or the people that are surrounding you. So get very detailed and then feel it in your system. How do you feel when that reality is true, when it's being experienced? And then feel those things in your system. I feel safe. I feel excited and happy. Well, how does that feel in your system? Pretend you're there. Feel it. And so that is the whole thing coming full circle through the experience. And at any point, you can do all of these steps. So, if you join later on, like go back and watch the other steps to this process. But at any point, you can shift the heavier, we'll just call them heavier, more dense feelings that you're feeling, and shift them into something that feels more exciting, more of what you do want to create. Okay, so these are the things. If you get stuck or you have questions, feel free to reach out to me at any point. If you want to share any of this stuff that you've been going through or that you worked through, or how this may have helped you, I definitely want to hear all of that stuff. So, send me a message, send me all of the things that you're experiencing and going through. And hopefully next week we go back to our normal coloring session. Or, if you really enjoyed this and you want to do something like this again next week, let me know that too. Like, I'm still shifting and crafting what I'm doing here. And so I just want to be of the most value to everybody. All right, my friends, I love you all, and I hope that this has been a wonderful experience. Okay, I'm going to turn off you first, whether I know how to do this or not. And then I'm going to turn you off.